Aston with us this week. Ladies, thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, thanks for having us.
And they're
Yes,
coming from
delighted.
all over the place where Alexa is likely the most likely to be melting
Triple
Yeah.
digits. It's been crazy.
at this point. Yeah,
We're beautiful.
So Laura's in Nebraska and her weather's good. And Cerise, you're on the West Coast and your weather looks good.
Yes, this morning it looks good. It's
Well, we're
about
gonna cross our
75 here. But look out later.
No, it's supposed to get warm here later, but nothing like what the South and the Southwest are
Yeah.
dealing with. So,
Poor people.
well, we're here to talk about books, and you can take your books by the pool, or you can take your books inside where the air conditioning is. So, books are always a good choice, regardless of what the weather is like. So, Laura, let's talk about yours first. Yours is A Bitter Pill to Swallow, and it's part of the Willowbrook series. It's book 3.
Book 3 of the Willowbrook series.
And we've got a country doctor. Can you tell us about it?
Oh, he is so good. I just loved writing him. He's a country doctor. But he wasn't always. He comes from London, and he wants out of London. He doesn't like the whole stuff that goes around in London. Nothing's about the patient.
Mhm.
It's about the making me a better doctor, making me most important. And so, plus he's got his mentor, who's a brilliant surgeon, has a daughter. And you know what that means. She's got designs on my doctor. And
Who I think you have other plans for, don't you?
yes, I do. And he doesn't like her. And she's not likable. And so he thinks, I'm going to go out. They're advertising for a doctor in this town that's just getting started. And the town's name is Willowbrook. And so book 1 of Willowbrook is about the man, the old duke, and his grandson, that start the town. Book 2 is about his friend that comes to Willowbrook and starts a bookshop. And he's got his own story, which is quite interesting. But book 3 is my doctor. And he sees they advertise for a doctor in Willowbrook. He sees the advertisement and he goes. He thinks, I will be perfect for this. I can get away from my female that's hounding me and just have a nice, quiet life. Well, when he gets to Willowbrook, he finds out they've already got a doctor. But the doctor is not a doctor. She is an herbalist.
Oh, yay.
And everything he prescribes, she goes, no, this would work better. And she's got an herb that will work better. And some of them are not even herbs. I mean, they're fake. And he calls her on it. And she says, well, perhaps they are. But perhaps my patient doesn't have a problem. Maybe she needs a fake pill that makes her feel better. Oh, no, you always treat the patient. And she says, no, you get to know your patient, and then you can prescribe what they need. And so, you know where this is going to go for a while.
Well, I'm hoping.
But it doesn't go there long because they love each other and they find out really soon that they love each other. And everything comes to a head. You know, we're pre-aspirin, pre-antibiotic, pre-everything. And so if you ever want to go back in time, make sure you take a lot of that with you. Because they've got nothing. They can't dull anything. except for whiskey. And yeah. So anyway,
Okay.
they fall in love and
I was
everything.
hoping that that's where it was going to go.
Oh, yeah, it goes there quite quickly, too. They fall in love, but unfortunately, my other lady from London is not happy at all. And so she just thinks she has to eliminate the herbalist.
Oh,
And then,
not eliminate, just like knock out of the top. No, for real? Oh
Wow.
my goodness.
oh, I kill someone off in every one of my books.
Good for
I
you.
do.
I'm happy to
I
hear that.
do. It's
That does good things for a writer's blood pressure, I think.
It is.
Yes,
It is.
exactly.
And it's just like in my Page Turner bookstore. All he wants to do is open a bookstore, write children's books, and have a place, a home of his own. Well, his problem is he's the queen's assassin, and she doesn't want him to stop. He's got to do one more kill.
Before he can go all Beatrix Potter on us.
Yeah. Mhm. And unfortunately, the person he's supposed to kill is my heroine's father.
I
Oh,
remember that from when we talked about it last time. It's just a lot. That's a lot of conflict right there.
you know, this is my brain. I hate to say it, but I have a lot of conflict inside this little brain.
Okay.
So
Way to put it to good use. And as long as you're only murdering
That's
people
right.
on the
Resolved.
page, I think we're solid.
that's what I think. So anyway, I'm not going to take up everybody's time. That's my story. I
That
just
sounds like a lot of
finished.
fun.
Oh, it is. It was. The next one was more fun. The next one is it's called A Lesson Learned. And this book is a story of a governess.
Oh,
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, yeah. And
Cool.
she's got her own story.
Awesome.
It's amazing.
Awesome.
You know,
So
it's good when you like.
it's very good when you like the characters. I think
Yes.
I think that that's very good.
Yes.
Well, that sounds like a blast, and we get 2 more in that series, so we'll have a chance to talk about the governess next time, which I'm very much
Yes.
looking
The
forward to.
governess is next. But then I've got to stop and write Lions Club book.
Lion's Den.
Yeah, Lion's Den. Yeah, a Lion's Den book. And
Awesome. So the next release this week is Cerise's book, which is Because of You.
Oh, I like that.
I
Because
love that
of You.
title. I just love that
I know.
title.
My life is so worthwhile.
And that's the second book in the matrimony with the exclamation
Yes.
point.
Matrimony. Yes.
Series.
Yes. It's strangers who fall in love. They have answered ads in a special newspaper that has been created in London by a female publisher. She learned that it was more profitable to post ads for matrimony, and obviously the sun is still finding me here. In this case, we have Garrett Ruxton, who has no title at the moment. He is the nephew of a baronet who is also in politics. And he has for years run his uncle's shipping company, shipping goods to Portugal and Spain, and ultimately Toulouse in France. So in other words, the army supplies. And he has noticed that for many years, odd lots of his supplies have been missing. He has also been accused 3 years before of the murder of one of the men in the factory on the London docks that belonged to his uncle. That's his background. One day, he is in his uncle's London townhouse, and a lady arrives, and the butler shows her in, and she says she is Marguerite Molyneux. He does not know who she is, and he says, "Madam, why are you here?" And she said, "Well, I'd like to see Daniel Ruxton." And she says, "Are you he?" And no, he says, I'm the nephew." And he says, "Why would you like to see my uncle?" And she says, "Well, actually, I'm here because he told me I would be his wife."
Whoa!
So, but the problem is that his uncle was attacked a few weeks before and thrown in front of a carriage. And he is gravely ill. He is gravely ill upstairs. We don't know who pushed him in front of the carriage, but we suspect that there are problems.
Evil forces at play. It feels like evil forces at play to me.
Yeah. So Marguerite, or Daisy, as she calls herself, is a French emigre. She's the daughter of a French comte from the Rouen, from Normandy area, and this is April 1814, and guess who's escaping from Elba? And but we don't know that yet. It takes time for news to travel, and so I have meticulously mapped out how long it took Monsieur Napoleon to come north, and what Garrett Ruxton wants is to find out who's stealing his goods. What Daisy Molyneux wants is to get the deeds to her family's chateau and land. She does not want the title because under French rule, women do not inherit a title, but they can own land. But she needs the deeds. So because of Garrett, we are able to achieve a lot of things. And because of Daisy the two of them falling in love with each other, and because of Daisy, we are able to discover not only who pushed the uncle in front of the carriage, but also who the real murderer was. I had a wonderful time with this story. My husband and I have been really blessed to be able to go to Europe every year, at least once, for the past 12 years, I think. And I've learned a lot. I've even learned French. And so I have put all that to finite use here, and I hope it's not only entertaining but enlightening about the state of France post-Napoleon and the state of France as he marches north. I am also going to use all of this. This is the last of matrimony for now. There are, well, no, it isn't the last.
I was going to say, I thought it was book two. I thought it was book two.
Yeah, there's a third one, which I'm working on now. Hello, Joanne. It's Cerise. And it's called You Made Me Love You. So we can sing that song.
I didn't want to do it. But, I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so as we go into the next series, what I'm doing is combining a lot of the characters in Matrimony and in Scarlet Affairs, they're called.
That's a great title.
Yeah, I love it. And you're
not putting punctuation in that one, though, right?
No.
The search engines
Who
just
was that
don't like
guy
it.
who used to do punch? Yeah. So, um, so I'm really pleased and very proud to put together some really finite history um, that will begin in 1802 as
Oh,
Napoleon
exciting.
becomes more powerful and emperor. And we're going to go on. I hope people like the series. And I live long enough that we'll go to 1815, 1816,
I feel
1820.
confident that both of
Um,
those things are true or will be true.
y- yes, I hope
How
so.
wonderful. How wonderful. Well, I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
when I have a chance to learn about something I didn't know already. That's my favorite. History was not a strong subject for
Yes,
me. And so when you tell me stories and I can get the context and actually believe that you did the research behind the context, I
yes,
love that so much.
yes.
So
Yes, I love being able to write a place where I have actually
hmm
been. And when they turn right, this is my Washington, D.C. background, you know. When I turn right, I have to know that that's really the
yeah.
direction I'm going legitimately. But we were all talking before we started about our professions, and the three of us were history teachers. I do remember
Well, Laura taught music.
years ago. Yeah, but yes, but
Teachers.
teachers. And I do remember years ago when I first started in this business, I went to a writers conference, and one of the major publishers stood up and said, "How many of you really loved history when you were in high school?" And everybody goes, "Oh no, no!" And it was full of battles and military and someone else said, "Well, at my school, we took a survey." She was a teacher too. And she said, "At my school, we took a survey of the students and we asked them how many of them read romance." And of course, they're high school students. And so, mama must have approved. And so they said, of those, they asked them whether they liked the history in the novel or the history they were taught in the classroom. And overwhelmingly, they said, "I learned more
Yeah.
from the book, from the novel, than I ever have, and I enjoyed it more."
Well, because it comes with kissing. That's, that's an easy sell.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to know how to kiss.
So, Alexa, we get another Suddenly Duke from you.
Yes, and I feel like the odd man out today because there's no murder in my book. Sorry if I'm disappointing anybody out there.
So this one's Fashioning the Duke, and it's book 6?
No, we're 5.
Book
Yeah,
5.
we have 4 behind and there's 4 left to go. So
I wrote it down and just didn't remember the right number. And this Suddenly a Duke series. I love the premise for this one. The idea of
it actually is twofold in that I've got 8 gentlemen who didn't ever expect to hold a title, and suddenly they become a duke, and all 8 of them are not happy about becoming a duke. And then on the flip side, they fall for women who polite society would not feel are eligible or appropriate to become duchesses. So that's how it was happening in every single book. In fashioning the excuse me, in fashioning the Duke, I have a guy who's a second son. So he's gone to fight in the Napoleonic Wars. He's been an officer for many years. He's estranged from his older half brother, who's 20 years older than he is. They had nothing in common, and the guy was just mean to begin with. And he gets word that the brother has died. So not only has he inherited a title he never thought he would hold, he hates to leave his men, being a career officer. He gets home and he inherits the guardianship of his brother's 2 daughters. So he knows nothing about girls, and they are teenagers to boot.
Oh my goodness.
And they're both on the verge of making their come out, and he knows nothing about this world.
Oh my goodness.
So he's up a creek. Flip side, I've got Delaney, and she is the daughter of daughter of an earl on the wrong side of the blanket. But she has always been recognized by her dad. They were very close. It was a loving relationship. And he has actually bankrolled her millinery shop. And so she is in charge of Delaney's designs. Well, beloved dad dies. Mean half brother takes the title.
Come on.
And he and his countess do not want anything to do with her. And so they pretty much tell all of society, we're blackballing her. If you shop at her shop, you're going to get the cut direct from us. And so she goes from being the darling it girl designing hats for everyone to almost bankrupt. So she wants to get out of town. She wants to get out of the target, of this half brother. And she and Fox wind up meeting in a chance meeting at the solicitor's office. And he winds up convincing her to help him bring these two nieces out. And so she's going to get paid a boatload of money for doing it. And that way she can take the two workers that has been with her for many years and just head out of town, go somewhere as far as York or something like that, a town that, would be able to support more than one milliner in the town, but out of the radar, of this half brother. Fox winds up not only falling in love with Delaney, but with the two nieces. And so that's kind of fun because there's a little bit of that teenage angst there. And one of the nieces is very pliable and sweet. And the other one is very mercurial, very temperamental, but she's a sweet kid too. So it's fun to see him forming a family with them and then bringing Delaney into the fold.
Oh, awesome. Do we get to do the coming out part too with the dresses and all this stuff?
Oh yeah. That's a part of it. We're in the midst of the season. So some of my books happen in the country and some in town. And if we're in town, we're going to have that season.
Oh, great. Oh, that's so much fun.
Very fun.
That sounds wonderful. And we still have 3 more books in that series.
Yes. We've got my next one. Laura is also a governess, except she is the daughter of theater people. And so there's going to be a big scandal with
She's
them.
got herself some kind of past. I was looking at the pre-order for that one today. That's Love Blooms with the Duke.
Yeah, that's it. She kind of has an affinity for gardening, and she's going to implement gardening with her charges when she's a governess. And so, so we've got that one and then 2 more. Nice. And then that'll finish the series out in November.
Oh, wow. Well, that happened fast.
I know. I mean, 8 books. It's just crazy. That's the longest series I've written since my very first series with Dragonblade, which was a medieval 10-book series, Knights of Honor. So you get close to these people. I mean, you get to a point where it's like, I don't want to let go of them. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm kind of known for bringing in characters from previous books into, that book. And when you get up to 8, you just can't have 7 couples parading in and out. There's just too many characters. It's like turning on a soap opera.
Too many names.
Yeah. And so all my books read as standalones, but when you get this deep into the series, it's 1 or 2 couples that make an appearance in the book and, become friendly with the hero and or heroine and, that kind of thing. And then by book's end, by the 8th book, the epilogue is going to wrap up everything for everyone. So readers will, kind of get, that, where are they now, kind of thing.
Wonderful. So. Wonderful.
Don't you just love listening to authors? The excitement.
Yeah.
Talking about their books.
And it's my favorite.
These are our people. I mean, to me, these are my friends. I would friend them on Facebook, that kind of thing. We would have a girls' night out with margaritas. So, it is hard to let go. And that's the nice thing about Dragonblade, because every now and then we are given an opportunity. Laura mentioned the Lion's Den, and there's other, different anthologies, or seasonal type things. And so every now and then I do get to revisit the worlds that I have created because I pull some secondary character and I'm able to incorporate at least a few of the couples in the story. So that is fun.
Yeah. Well, very exciting. And I love getting to revisit characters that I've fallen in love with. That's one of my favorite parts about reading in a series. So,
well, it's fun because we write all the way up to, and they lived happily ever after. Yeah. And then I always have an epilogue in my book, whether it's 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, down the line. So you kind of get a glimpse into, yes, the happily ever after is still happening. But when you have that kind of opportunity, it's nice to see characters 5 years, 10 years down the line. In
Dealing with parenthood and
related and all. And it's fun to write for a couple that do have that tremendous love between them, that the readers loved them. They are a beloved couple, and you're able to bring them into a new couple.
Yeah, so much fun.
Very good.
So we don't have very much time left, but I thought we could take just a couple minutes and talk very quickly about what Laura was saying about how much fun it is to watch you talk so animatedly about your characters, which is absolutely true and one of my favorite parts of my whole week. But how did you fall in love with romance? What was your gateway drug? What was the book that pulled you in?
Well, I was talking about my love for romance started with Julie Garwood. I loved that lady. And I loved her books. And I was such a novice. I didn't write my first book until I was in my, 60s?
Oh, wow.
50s, late 50s. And
you're writing fast.
Yes, I do. I did till I broke my arm. Anyway, I wrote my first, I think it was 17 books, and ran them off, put them in binders, and they sat on my shelf. And
Wow.
I didn't ever think I would get published. Well, now I've published over 50. So I thought, how do I get published? Just on the chance that somebody want to publish my books. And so I thought, okay, how do I do this? So I opened up one of Julie Garwood's books, and I found her publisher. And it was Macmillan and something. I wrote the head of the company.
Oh,
and
God bless you. Bless your
I was
heart.
So stupid. It's written all over.
I love it.
Adorable. It's lovely.
And anyway, I wrote him, and he said, well, this isn't how you do it. He wrote me a really nice letter, but it was like, hey, stupid, this isn't how you do it. And so I thought, well, I don't know how to do it. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote Julie Garwood. She was my favorite author. Aww. And I thought, please tell me she will know. And I wrote her one day. A day went by. The next day, I got a letter from her. The next day. And I still have it. Someday I'll read it to you. It was precious. She says, well, I can't tell you how to get published. I can only tell you how I got published. And she said, the first thing you want to do is you want to call RWA. This was when they were going back in days of New York. Yeah. I wanted to call RWA, and she gave me their phone number. And then she said, when you get someone on the phone, you will want to ask them, tell them you're in Nebraska, and say, is there a local chapter anywhere around me? And so I did, because I was so stupid.
No, you have to stop saying that, because that is the wrong word.
Okay, I was so naive.
Naive and tenacious. Tenacious. Brilliant combinations.
I had all these books on my shelf, and I thought, I dreamt big, even though I had nothing to dream big about. And anyway, I called, and it just so happened, RWA told me there is a chapter in Omaha, which is a long way from me, and there's a chapter in Grand Island. And I thought, I can go to Grand Island. And so I called, and they gave me the number for the president of that chapter, Prairie Land Romance Writers. I called him, and the president, that was her number, and she said, we just so happen to have our meeting this Sunday. And I called on a Thursday. And she said, so if you come to Grand Island, go here, and come and see us. That was the start.
Great.
I
Oh, that's
owe
wonderful.
everything to
Love that.
Julie Garwood. I love her. And I've published now.
I can't believe she wrote you back that fast.
Oh, that
so
fast.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's
I will
so
dig
great.
it out and I will read it to you sometime.
Okay. I'm going to bug you about it the next time we talk.
Yes, it's beautiful. But anyway, that was my start. And now I've published over 50 books. And
Oh, wow.
yeah,
What a wonderful story. That's fantastic.
I just cried when she died.
Yeah, I can imagine.
She had the best sense of humor in her books.
Mhm.
It was just, she just did. And so I started writing medievals. Didn't work for me. So I went to what I loved, and that was Victorian.
Perfect.
And so, okay.
Well, that's the best hero origin story yet.
Yes. Yes. She was just wonderful. And of course, she didn't know me. And so she was at a writers' conference, an RWA writers' conference. And I went up to her and I said, I know you don't know me, but you've done everything for me. And she just kind of looked at me like, oh. And I thought, oh, Julie, you have no idea what all you did for me.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. Cerise, what about you? What was your first?
I had a neighbor who said, have you read this book? She put it in my hand. And it happened to be Kathleen Woodowis. And at the time, I had one little boy in kindergarten, and I had two other children in diapers. And so this was great escape, you know. And I said to myself, I can write this. I can't remember the title of the Woodowis book. It was, of course, fabulous, but it took place in Virginia. And at the time, we were living in suburban Washington.
Say it again.
Ashes in the wind.
Yeah. At the time, we were living in Washington, D.C., and I was off and on doing work with a historical society. So I was very attracted to it. And I said, I have to learn how to write these. I can do this. And long about that time, there was a column in the back of the book world of the Washington Post. And it said, romance is becoming very popular. It mentioned this publisher named Harlequin, which I had never heard of. And they said a lot of people are being published by Harlequin, and there are numerous people who would like to join or like to create a writing group. And so if you are interested, come to this building at Georgetown University on a weeknight at 7 or 8 o'clock. And I thought, oh God, you know, 7 or 8 o'clock, you put little people
There's
to bed.
bathing and sleeping and all that kind of stuff going on.
Yeah. So, and long story short, I arranged it. I went down and I met someone named Eleanor Robertson, who was very encouraging. That's Nora. And I met some other people, Kathleen Gillis Seidel, who still writes occasionally, teaches English. A lot of people, plus a few editors. Hi, how you doing? And so I was hooked. And at the end of that meeting, they said, if anyone is interested in joining a local writers group, let's talk later. So we all got together and we created what is still known as Washington Romance Writers. And we literally taught each other how to write romance. And the way that we started was we had different people, including Nora, come to our house and tell us how she writes romance. And so WRW is still in existence. It's a fabulous, fabulous group. I learned more from them than I can say. That was, hello, 1981. And I am still in this business.
That's
so
fantastic.
yeah. So it has been quite a journey. I have been traditionally published. I've done independent publishing. I've written contemporary mystery as well as historical. I have been in the business so long I can tell you stories that will curl your hair.
Hair curling off camera, not on camera, off camera.
Yeah.
We'll do the hair curling part later.
I will also tell you stories that are ones of immense satisfaction, just in the simple art of writing a good story. And I do believe it's what has kept me alive and very happy for 42 years.
Lovely, lovely. Alexa, what about you?
In 7th grade, I read Mistress of Malin by Victoria Holt.
Oh,
And that did it. I was going to be a romance writer. That was the goal. But that wasn't going to pay the bills, obviously. And I love teaching and history and that kind of stuff. So I got my degree and I started teaching. And I was going to teach by day and write by night. Okay, that doesn't happen in the teaching world. You were writing lesson plans and you were writing papers and you were calling parents, and then you get married and you've got laundry and husband and kid and that kind of thing. So I never even read during the school year. I was too busy. But every summer I kept a list from people that recommended things. And so I would read romance. That's just always what I was drawn to. And I read the Julie Garwoods and the Julia Quinns and the Nora Roberts and, and I kept thinking I could do this if I only had the time.
Right.
And then those last few years before I stopped teaching, I actually found some like-minded people. A friend of mine who our daughters were in kindergarten together and had gone all the way through school. She was interested in writing. And I never knew that. It just kind of came out one day. A gal that my husband worked with, we were at a company Christmas party, and somehow we got to talking, and she was interested in writing too. And so the blind leading the blind, we formed a little critique group, and we just started writing and trading chapters and talking. And then we joined RWA and went to a conference in Dallas, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Oh,
and that's, I went to a conference in Houston and pitched to 2 different editors and heard back from one of them, and that started the journey. So
you spent all that time getting ready, and then when you retired, you were really ready.
Well, like I said, it's the teacher in me. I'm organized. I'm disciplined. I know, and I call it BIC, B-I-C, butt in chair. Sometimes that's what it is. You've got to give yourself permission to write something that isn't that good, because maybe somewhere in there is going to be some good. And so, like I said, I put out 13 books this year. I had a historical series of 8 books and a 5-book contemporary series. So, I mean, this is my full-time job now. I did the teaching for years, and now this is the second chapter in my life, the second career, and I'm getting to do something I love. And yes, it is work, a lot of work and all, but I really enjoy it. I enjoy the authors I meet. I enjoy all the people that I work with at both of my publishing houses. I love telling these stories. I love talking with the readers, just getting those emails or those instant messages, that's just like, this story meant so much to me because of this, or this story got me through, a bad time in my life and all. So it's like, I'm telling stories for people who are in me that are banging to get out, and people are responding. People love my people like I love my people. And I read all kinds of books. I read thrillers and mysteries and biographies and all that kind of stuff. But I love writing that happily ever after. I love giving readers the gift of love between this couple.
Yeah.
So,
My problem is I don't get to read enough.
oh, I don't either. I mean, I
don't.
really have to be selective now what I read
That's
because
right.
I do work, and write so much and everything. But and I'll be honest, I don't read a lot of romance now simply because I read it for all of those years, and I don't want to be influenced by anybody. I don't want
Right.
my stories to sound like other people's stories. I don't want
That's
my
right.
situations to be the same. Because I have one of those books on my shelf, one of those research books, and basically it says like there's 20 plots, 20 conventional plots. You've got revenge, you've got love, you've got murder, you've got kind of thing. And so I want to be able to tell stories my way. So, and it's kind of the only way I know how, and I've gone to some workshops along the way, and I've read some books, and I've, joined a couple of professional organizations, and I chat with fellow authors, especially Avon Ellis. She's that original person from the Christmas Party. And, and it's just sometimes, like I said, it's just bicking. It's just button sharing it and getting it down.
And that giving yourself permission to write something bad, I think it's really difficult.
Yeah.
Because
I've talked to people
just
that
have
it's
to get
like,
words, and it doesn't matter if they're words I'm going to keep. I just have to get words, so I have something to
You
work with.
cannot edit a blank page.
No, you just got to get in that flow. And once again, it's like muscles. Writing, it's a muscle, and
Yes,
you have
it
to
is.
use it and utilize it. If you didn't exercise and work out, for a year, you shouldn't all of a sudden sit down and write a bestseller, kind of thing. And it's the same thing with, writing. You have to practice your craft, and you have to be good at it, and you have to get better at it.
I was moaning because I had a 2,000 word day, which used to be like just a normal day, right? That used to just be a day, and it was a finger of God kind of day, considering how many words I'd done lately. And my middle son said, "Mom, if I took a year off and tried to squat 400 pounds, I wouldn't be able to do that either." Well, that is how a 20-year-old describes.
Yes.
Yep. That's very true.
Awesome. Ladies, we could talk for hours and hours and hours, and I would not
Yes,
run
we
out of
could.
time. This is lovely, but we are way over time now. So I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to hope that it works out, that we end up in the same combination for release sometime coming up, because this was just a delight. I will make sure that I put the links in the comments. So if you haven't gotten your books yet, I'm going to say the same thing I say every week. Dragonblade books are such a good deal. Pre-order and release date. I mean, such a freakishly good deal. So you would grab them right away. If you haven't got them, or you missed the 99-cent window, you can always read them in Kindle Unlimited. So
yes.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Thanks so much for taking the time to talk.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Evelyn.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
It was nice meeting you, Alexa.
You too, Laura.
Yeah.
I met Cerise before.
Yeah.